Hey, what's up, guys? What's going on? It's our 6th year wedding anniversary, and we're outside on the City of Lights, Las Vegas. And we just thought to share a little bit of our journey with you guys, and it's in our wedding cake. This wedding cake is 6 years old, and it's been around the world. You want to tell them about it?
Yes, so I'm not even sure if this cake is still tastes good, but we're gonna find out. So this wedding cake, right? When we got married, after we got married, we had to go to Dubai. We carried it all the way to Dubai. We were in Dubai for like a week. After that, we took it to the US, and then for our 1 year anniversary, we were in Nigeria. So we had to take it from the US to Nigeria for our 1 year anniversary. Then after we tasted it after the 1 year, we took it back to the US, and every year we've been tasting it. Like on our wedding anniversary, we cut a piece and we taste it. We're only gonna keep it for 5 years, so we made another cake last year, but we still have some of this. So we just want to try it out for the 6th year and see how it still tastes and if it's good.
So this is what is left of the cake, and it's been a journey. We should call it the cake with the traveling couple.
Exactly. It's been everywhere, and each year it's actually tasted like really good.
Yeah,
Even
so
better.
well, so I think it's very important to make sure that when they bake your wedding cake, they bake it well so that it can last and stand the test of time.
Yeah, I think there's a thing to it. Like when they're baking wedding cakes, they know couples like to keep it. I mean, most couples keep it for 1 year.
6 years, it's a stretch because I thought it was going to be bad by the second year.
Yeah, that's
And
what
it has stood the test of time. And it brings me to one situation we had a month after our marriage. We had a crazy fight 1 month after our marriage, and I asked for a divorce. You remember?
Yeah, I remember. Like, I feel like the first year is tough. I feel like the first year is tough because people, you're just getting to know each other. Like, that's the first time like you guys will live together. And I remember him saying he wanted a divorce. I was just like, yeah, whatever. Like, I just saw him. Nobody's divorcing anyone. And I think along the line, we just kind of have like this unspoken thing where we know, divorce is not an option.
Well, we talked about it a lot of time, and we said, you know what, divorce is not an option. Well, I'm not projecting that on any
Anyone.
relationship of any couple. I'm just talking about what, what we decided as a couple, and I think the main point of every marriage is growth. And I think that we've really grown through the years.
Yeah, we've really grown through the years, and we're by no means therapists.
Exactly. We're not trying to tell anybody how to do their
do.
marriage or anything. We just want to talk about our cake, but then we just want to share a little bit.
Like basically, like nothing we've done, like being here right now, like after 6 years is it has nothing to do with what we've done. It's basically
on the
God,
grace of God.
on grace of God, and
Yeah.
so it's not about like we know anything or we are perfect. We're perfect. It's just the grace of God and just
some work. You put in some work in marriage. Like, marriage is very serious. I don't want to use any other word apart from serious, because trust me, marriage is very serious. Marriage is full of compromises. Marriage means you need to grow. Marriage means you need to let go of
a lot.
your ego, number one, both sides, because ego is the killer of marriages, I've come to realize. And what else you want to talk about?
Like for me, I feel like the turning point for me in my marriage, it's more like not leaning on my own understanding. That's one. And secondly, knowing that marriage is spiritual, and also knowing that the devil is always out to attack marriage. So for me, looking at it from a spiritual point of view, anytime we have a disagreement, instead of me to look at it from a carnal mind, like, this guy is doing this, I look at it from a spiritual point of view, that the devil is trying to attack our marriage. And instead of me attacking it with my words, I pray to God, and trust me, things work out. So that, for me, that is a turning point for me. Like, knowing that devil is out to attack marriages, devil is out to make kids grow without their father, and we both parents, and so that's just it for me.
Well, for me, I think individual growth is very important in marriage, especially marriages based on God as a foundation. You have to grow as a person, because the more you grow as a person, the better you're able to deal with everybody around you. And I talked about it one time ago, and I said, being in a marriage is the quickest way to grow because you have somebody to actually practice life with. It's like a practical that you have equipment to practice life with. You know, if you're not in a marriage, it's difficult to really develop, interrelationship skills.
That close to somebody
You
that
know?
has like a totally different personality, totally different upbringing, and I understand what he's saying by growth because it's like you said, that's the closest person that you get to practice a lot with, that's the closest person to you that sees everything and is able to tell you, like certain things that you would not even expect anybody else to say to you. So in that sense, sometimes it's hurtful because for me, I think the thing with my husband and I is more or less like when I say something to him, we're all normal human beings because that's the same way it happens to me also. If he's trying to say something to me and I know that thing, like, it's a nerve and I know he's being right, sometimes I might not say anything, sometimes I might argue, but at the back of my mind, I go back to think about it, like, he's actually right. And I feel like that's it with our, relationship also. Like, I tell him stuff, at first it might be like, whatever, but I see the change.
Mm.
So for me, I see that, oh yeah, whatever I actually told him, he hears me. So I've learned a lot from like the beginning not to beat the horse. Like if something just happens, say it and let it go. And the person is an adult and I'm sure they think about stuff and eventually they realize it themselves and know that it's part of them growing.
Yeah, and just because you're trying to communicate to your spouse and they're not acting like they're really listening doesn't mean they're not listening. People, because of ego, a lot of times people don't just want to just admit. But one thing I noticed again in marriage is when you begin to cut down your ego, you're happier. For example, like I remember in our first years of marriage, I used to be very upset. Don't talk to me now, don't do this, don't do that. But with time, I know that, you're trying to change somebody that has lived all their lives being who they are. Now they're in a marriage with you, you want them to change overnight to be who you want them to be. 1, 2, you don't want to change, you're expecting your spouse to change. I think it goes both ways. Compromises go both ways. Growth goes both ways. Now, if my wife says something to me that upsets me, before I'll be like, oh, why are you talking to me like that? Now I would call her and say, listen, babe, put yourself in my position. What do you think about this? Do you think this makes me happy? And then we have a communication. We've had a lot of fights in the past.
We've had a lot.
But I noticed that this last year, we hardly fought.
Yeah, because I think it's just getting to understand each other better and getting to know like certain things. And also, for me, I think what changed for me is I know that certain things that he does, like even when we argue or whatever, like certain things that would normally cause our argument, I think what changed in me is more like I get to realize that he's not doing it intentionally or he's not doing it to hurt me. He's just a human being that is living his daily lives. And I think from that point of view, it changes stuff for me. So even if something happens that's something that would normally annoy me, I'll just be like, oh, whatever. I might speak on it, but not to the point where like, it's that deep. Mm-hmm. That then we have to start bickering. Because when you think about it sometimes, I feel like the things that actually, grow, at least from my own point of view, like a lot of times that we've had like arguments, it wasn't even something serious.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was always...
There were things with one person...
Yeah, like it was not even anything, like I'm telling you, it could just be...
The simplest
of things.
Situations.
Exactly. So me realizing that, and I guess both of us kind of like, it was like an unspoken thing, like we just kind of realized that, and now we just don't let things escalate, thank God.
Like most things in life, happiness in marriage is a choice, basically. And the choice is, the onus of the choice lays on both parties. Like if one person chooses to be happy in marriage, the other person must also be determined to be happy in marriage. Now, when the focus of a marriage is happiness, people do things in a positive light. Mm-hmm. There's no resentment, basically, and resentment is another killer of marriage. You know what I mean? Like, it's better when you guys talk about your situations. The longer we are in marriage, the easier it is to speak about stuff.
Yeah, because for me, like at first we had two different, of course we have two different personalities. Like for me, if something happens, like I'll tell you right away, and once I say it, I'm done with it. Like it doesn't bother me anymore. For my husband, it was kind of different. Like, something might happen, like he won't talk about it. He's a Libra, so he rationalizes things and try to, see why you're doing things. But for me, I always used to tell him, like, instead of you wasting your energy trying to think, let's just say it. I mean, it's been a process, and because I kind of understand that about him now, it makes a difference. So if something even happens and he's saying stuff, I'll just be like, oh, that's not how it is, but
Another thing I noticed in marriage is when you guys have like an argument, in quote, I don't think anybody should expect to win in a relationship or in a marriage. The purpose of an argument in a marriage is for you guys to go separately and think about what each person has said, not for who is going to win that argument.
Yeah, I think that was always a problem. Like, sometimes, like, you feel like you have to actually realize, like, this is not a competition. Like, you guys are together for one goal, and that goal is to be together and be happy. So this is not about who is going to win or who is going to lose. Like, marriage is not a competition. And I feel like the devil uses this a lot and causes strife between two people, because the moment you start to feel like, I'm going to make sure I win, then at the end of the day, it's not going to settle. Like I said, it's been growth. Honestly, it's been growth. Honestly, like, just looking at things, being able to let things go, being able to talk about stuff. And I feel like me and him, we have a lot of unspoken things. Like, for me, I know his boundaries, and I know the things that would tick him off. I know the things that would be like, there's no going back from this, without me and him actually having a conversation about it. And I feel like he knows me too, and he knows that, if I do this, then it's probably not going to be a comeback from this. So we kind of have that. So we know each other's boundaries. We know what,
we're trying to get to know each other basically every day.
Every day.
Just before we started this video, I was thinking, and I felt like 6 years is too little to even think we know anything about marriage. But then at the same time, I think every single day in marriage is a serious day. Every single day you sleep, you go to bed, and you wake up to a new day in your marriage is what's being celebrated, because 1,000 things could go wrong.
Honestly. And like I said, and like we said in the beginning of the video, we don't know it though.
We're not perfect.
We're not perfect at all. We're not trying to give marriage
advice.
Like, we just feel like, no matter how it is, like, we can all learn from each other, and like, we just live each day as it goes. We trust God, and we just trying to be happy.
And I think let's just touch on social media a little bit. We don't really want to dwell into it. And I think there's something I see on social media when people divorce and people go like, the people are making me lose hope in marriage. And I just think people keep focusing on the negative. I think there's so many couples that you can look up to in marriage. You don't even have to look up to anybody. You have to build your own marriage. You have to build your own life. But if you feel it's important for you to make people models, right? Make God your model, number one. Then any relationship that you see that is working should be your model. Or you can never really know what goes on behind the scenes, but at the same time, the reason why you're looking is because you want to use it to evaluate, right?
Yeah, like you said, like, you can know. Like, I see a lot of comments, and when marriage breaks, I see a lot of comments when people get into issues in their marriage on social media, and people say, I've lost hope. Trust me, like, social media shouldn't be a model for anybody in the first place. And then, even if it is, like you said, there's a lot of marriages working, and you don't want to be that way. Like, because like I said, marriage is a good thing. Marriage is honorable, and the devil is really trying to attack marriages and making people lose hope in marriages. And when you think about it, it's not just for you. It's also about for the next generation and your children. It's deeper than that. Like, we can go on and on about different things or different reasons why everybody is in their marriage. People that leave, they have reasons why they leave.
Exactly.
We're not here to judge. People have different circumstances. But my thing is that I don't want people to always, like, it makes me sad when people are they feel like they've lost hope in marriage. No, marriage is not working. No, I'm afraid. No, don't be. Pray to God for God to give you, your own person, and, try to work towards your common goal.
And I kind of think I have a little to say about that because coming from different backgrounds, I am from a background where my parents' marriage didn't work, and you are from a background where your parents' marriage worked. Like they've been together for many years. And for me, I have never used my parents' marriage as a yardstick. Even my parents' marriage never described me because I'm a man of myself, I'm a human of myself, I'm a being of myself, and my choices are mine to make. I don't think that anybody should let anybody project their own insecurities and negativity into their lives or into their marriages. You have a choice to make in your marriage. It doesn't mean your marriage will be perfect. There will be many times that you will think divorce is the next option. But one thing I've noticed about that phase is if the moment you're able to cross over that phase, you have many more years of peace.
Yeah, that's it. Because I feel like in different phases of marriage, you know, for me, I pray every day, you know, for God to always give us what we can handle. You understand? So there are different phases of marriage, and I feel like once you get over a hoop, then it's like, oh,
It's a breather.
It's a breather. Yeah, marriage is hard.
Marriage is very hard.
We're not gonna be here and say, oh, it's like, no.
That is, you just want to throw in the towel.
Marriage is hard. Marriage is a lot of work, but I feel like the goal is to want to be married in any situation in this life. I feel like communication is
always key.
Always key. And it's always good to have good communication and try to talk about stuff. Like I said, we don't know it all. And it can be complicated. There are different reasons. I mean, for me as a woman and seeing things on social media and stuff, sometimes I'll ask my husband, like, when do you get peace? Because you see some people, they've been married for 20 years and you're like, oh, you know, these people are making it, and the next thing they divorce. And then I say to him, when does this end? Like, at what point, you know, are you sure 100% that, oh, you know, you guys are going to be together forever?
So it brings us to the point that marriage is an everyday work. I don't think you should project days and months to marriage because look at people divorcing in 20 years. What can you say to that? They've been able to stick together for 20 years, and then what happens? What changes? I think you can't even come and say, oh, I've been 50 years married, I'm perfect, or I can say anything. Nobody has a right to say anything about marriage until you're dead. It's constant work.
It is.
On both sides.
It is constant work. But I feel like if you're with somebody that makes you happy, if you're with somebody that gives you common goal, if you're with somebody that is not abusing you in any way, like emotional, physical, or cheating on you, or, you know, like all those kind of things. If it's just like different you know, like day-to-day issues. I feel like, you know, like I said, I'm not advising anyone, but I feel like it's something people can always communicate about. And, you know, marriage is honorable and marriage is from God. And
anyways, that being said, the reason why we're here today is to taste if this cake is really good. And like you said before, we already made another cake for another 5 to 6 years. We made it last year.
Yeah, last year. That cake is a year already now.
It's a year already now. So that's properly stored. Thank God that we live in a society where there's always electricity. That's very important. And we're just going to take a bite each of this cake.
Okay, so it's been 6 years. Wait, who is going to bite it for?
Take a piece. Let me take a piece too. That's big chunk. This is the last piece of the last cake. We have another one that's already 1 year already, but now we want to try this.
Are you sure you want to eat it?
Are you ready for this?
Are you sure you want to eat it?
Why not? What's the worst that can happen?
Stomach cake.
Which I won't die. This is amazing.
It's so good though. I can't believe it.
It tastes perfect.
I know, like, it has all the raisins and fruits in it, and there's nothing wrong with it. Wow.
Do you remember who baked this cake? Remember her name? Was it the baker that I found?
Delightsome something.
Delightsome. Oh my God! Wherever you are, if you're watching this video, thank you so much for baking such an amazing cake. I wish I knew your handle. I would tag you because she's worth tagging.
I think you have a handle because last year I think you found her.
Wow.
Or the year before, I can't remember.
Wow. So by the time I post this video, I'm gonna try to find her and tag her if I can. Wow, this is so amazing.
It tastes good. In the tradition. This is amazing. It's been nice catching up. It's been an amazing 6 years, and cheers.
Cheers to 6 years and more. I love you.
I love you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. Well, we're grateful to God, to everybody that's been supporting us, especially to our family and our friends. Everyone that was at our wedding, we still have a very personal, close relationship with.
Yes, like
Yeah,
our
most
family,
people.
our friends, and I just feel like surrounding ourselves with people that really want things to work for us has been amazing too. Like my family, our friends, like everybody is always rooting for us. Like every year on our anniversary, like everybody's like happy, and you know, it's amazing to actually have people around you that truly cares and truly want things to work out for you. So we're grateful to everyone.
I want to thank God for our kids. They're amazing children, and they're the best kids anybody could ask for.
Thank God. We're grateful to God for each day. We're grateful to God for every moment, and we're grateful to God for everything else He's going to be doing in our lives.
Amen. See you another time. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye.